Hello and welcome to another video. And this video feeds off the last one where I spoke about content and I had to show you some more leopard prints. You know, I said I was obsessed with leopard print, but little bit of a backstory. So there was one day, it was me, my sister, two of my nieces and one of my nephews. And we went to the New Era hat store. And literally the hats that I gravitated to were the leopard print ones. And my sister was like, I knew you was going to pick that. Anyway, I actually got it branded as well on the side. So it says She Moves for Her, for ATHLETESIA. And then one of my oldest nieces, she actually bought me this one as well. But anyway, I had to show that for my love of leopard print and my gravitation towards it. But anyway, what I wanted to link in with this video is around the competition. The so-called, well, the competition, so-called competition, and the need to silence the noise. Because I had a bit of, it was probably a couple of months back, I had a long conversation with someone about this in the Instagram DMs. And I feel that it's so easy when you're building a business, when you're building a brand, to get caught up with what everybody else in the same space is doing as you, or, similar to what you're doing. And look, there's different schools of thoughts on this. So I'm sharing my perspective and how I roll. I silence the noise in that regard because, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not looking to be like any of them. I am looking to focus. I'm focusing on my mission and my vision for ATHLETESIA. And that's what it's about. So I don't want to get caught up in the noise of how everybody else is doing things because it's not a representation as to the direction of the business that I'm building. And I don't want to get sucked into that. And one of the things I absolutely love to do is look outside. So, say, for example, even if and yes, it's a well known brand, but if I think about Apple, if I think about Bloom, if I think about Cadence, if I think about, Represent, I like to look at different businesses and how they're doing things in order to get my creative juices flowing even more. And, just look at things from a different perspective and a completely different angle, because that helps me with my thought process. And it's not about, copying or taking what they're doing. It's just looking at how they're operating within their businesses and learning from that. Because at the end of the day, life is a lifelong learning journey, and there are people that I love to learn from. And I just want to call out some people on that front. So there is Ross from Cadence. Absolutely love his YouTube channel. Enjoy watching his videos. Then there is also Erin on Demand. I love what she speaks about when it comes to, content marketing and so on. And she does it in a way which is pretty fluid. And then also some other people, Grace Andrews. She is super dope. I like her vlogs and how she just does it in a very unique way and on the go. And then also, even Grace Beverly, like her solo videos and how she presents herself and the topics that she speaks on. And then also, I'm just trying to think, there is more. And there's actually, I'll put them on screen, but there's a couple of new people that I followed as well in terms of, listening to their content from a learning and growth perspective. And so the reason why I share this is because, say, for example, if you are building something and you're then looking at what the top 5, 10 brands are doing, that can skew what you're working on. And here's the thing, there might be something that you're working on and all of a sudden that brand is doing it. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. I mentioned last time about the leopard print, but I just feel like it just became a trend everywhere. And it was just like, ugh, kind of turned me off. But at the same time, it's a case of knowing where you stand and what you're about and what your aim and your goal is and sticking to that. And there will always be somebody who has more money to take what you was thinking of and literally do it next week, because they can. They have the production, they have the manufacturing, they have the team, etc. But that doesn't mean that if you had the same idea that it's not going to work out for you. You know what place you're coming from. You know when you actually thought of it and when you started working on it. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue based on, what you're seeing. So the reason why I share this is because it's about remaining focused on that vision and the mission as to, why you actually started in the first place. And if it is a case of, looking at the competition and looking at what other people are doing, what is the value from that? And I'll give you an example. So when I am thinking about fabrics, that's when I will do research, right? So I am looking at fabric mixes and I'm thinking, okay, well, what are people saying about this fabric? How is it performing? How is it working out for people? And so I will look at different reviews. That's probably the most and the biggest thing that I do is reviews from real life people who are speaking about how their experience is with that particular fabric. But then also what I have to take into account is just because one top has a certain blend and another one has the same blend and another one has the same blend, fabrics are not all the same. And so it really depends where this fabric has come from, the mills, the process it's been through, etc. And so that's going to contribute to its overall performance. But one of the things that I've learned is there are some fabrics I'm like, oh, okay, hold on a minute. The issues that I experienced, that seems to be coming up time and time again. So as a business that, well, a brand that hasn't even launched yet, those are the things that I really need to take into account because there isn't necessarily many second chances. And, reputation is everything. And when I am thinking about what I want to put out there for Athletesia, it has to be quality. I'm not going to half ass anything. Everything needs to be of a standard that is absolutely excellent. And with my manufacturers, this is something that I say to them all the time. I'm not prepared to put out things that I'm not confident with if it's not working how it should. And there are things that I have put on the back burner simply because of that. And I'll dive into that in another video. But again, just going back to that silence to noise topic. And I remember that was a line from Eric Thomas when I was going through some hard times and I was listening to various different motivational videos. And he spoke about silencing the noise. And I'm like, damn, he's so right. Because as the years go by, there is even more noise now than there was then. And so, does the competition matter? I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but at the end of the day, it's about not getting caught up in that because that can prevent you from moving forward with whatever you're doing or whatever you're creating. And so you have to stand true to where you are and ultimately where you want your brand, your business to end up. And so that's really what I wanted to speak about in this video and to just shed some light on it's okay to look for inspiration outside of the space that you're in. You don't always need to look within your industry. However, I do feel that it's super, super important to understand your market from a data, from an insights perspective. McKinsey does various different reports. There is also Sammy actually. I'll put her channel up, but she's got a super dope channel where she speaks to different, founders and she breaks down what's happening within the beauty space, within the fashion space and other areas, etc. And that is super, super helpful. And so another channel, Devil Wears Data, I believe it is. And, she does some excellent videos as well. And there's another one where it's like, what has been the downfall of these brands? And it's being able to learn from that. And so, yes, there is learnings, etc., that do come with looking at the competition, but it shouldn't hold you or stop you from doing what you're actually doing. And it's also important not to get caught up in what they are doing, because otherwise, potentially, you end up creating something that is literally the same as what they're doing. It from a product perspective and from a marketing perspective. One of the things that I've spoken about with Athletesia, and one of the reasons why I created Athletesia, is because I was so sick and tired of the copy and paste approach and just everything just looking and feeling so samey. And, that was coming through time and time again from the market research questionnaire that so many women filled out, and it's still open today. So I'll drop that in the description if you want to contribute to that. And, it's looking at that information and it's listening and it's taken action on there. Women want to be able to see themselves in this marketing. They want to be able to, see women who have, stretch marks and all of that kind of stuff, because we are not perfect human beings, and we are, I view stretch marks as the tree of life in many ways. I have a ton of them on my bum and my thighs, and I absolutely love them. And so, why do we make out that these things shouldn't be seen and they should be hidden or they should be erased? And I remember once where someone commented on an Athletesia post and she said, why do we never see anyone in glasses in these ads? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. And it sounds so simple, but why is that? So many people wear glasses. Now, I wear glasses and I wear contacts, and I have at home glasses because they are full subscription as thick as hell. And then I have like outside ones, right? And it's a choice as to whether I wear them or not. I don't tend to wear them on videos just simply because of the glaring and you won't be able to see my eyes. But that doesn't mean there's not other people who do it, but with all the lights that I've got going on, anyway, that's my reason. I just like wearing contacts, whatever, personal choice. But it's looking at, picking up on what your customers are saying, what your clients are saying, and looking at how you can feed that into what you're doing, because ultimately they are the ones that matter the most. The Athletesia community is absolutely everything to me. Like, they have been absolutely incredible, amazing women who I haven't even met, and they show up all of the time. If I share something that I might be going through or what have you, they are there in the DMs, and it's like, wow, this is so beautiful. And it's great to see, that support. And so I'm always making sure that I show up for them too, because it's a two-way street. I do not want to have a brand where it doesn't represent the everyday woman. It has to represent the everyday woman. That is what it's about. And I cannot wait to share and showcase what's to come for Athletesia, because it's just going to be so beautiful and unique and different. And they are truly, the community is going to be at the forefront of absolutely everything. And that's one of my promises. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share in this video. If I didn't say that already, got off track a little bit again. But I hope you found value from this, and, just look at ways, silence the noise, silence the noise. Yes, know your market, the data, the insights, keep up to date, etc. But at the end of the day, do things your own way and don't get caught up in doing it like everybody else because it seems to be working. Because just because it's working for them, it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. So thank you so much for watching and listening, and like, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Thank you.